Today on the 5-Star Flex, I've got Coach Gary Harrell of the Colorado Buffaloes, the most talked about program in the nation, right here on the 5-Star Flex. Welcome to the 5-Star Flex, where being a 5-star isn't just a ranking, it's a mentality. I'm your host, Phillip Dukes, aka Dukes D Scoop. Check me out on Twitter and Instagram at Dukes D Scoop. And make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. Hey, man, it's a very special day. A lot of people got a lot of things to say. A lot of people is, Colorado this and they that. Well, we ain't got to do no more talking. We just going to get it from the horse's mouth. Coach Flea, what's going on?
Hey, I'm doing good, man. Dude, thank you for having me. It's an honor to be on your platform. Like you said, we're the most polarized program in the country.
Yeah.
And anytime we get a chance to get with someone like yourself and express how we do things and just go back and forth on some topics, it's always a pleasure.
Man, I thank you so much. So before we get into all of that, let's find out who Gary Harrell is. Can you tell us about where you're from and what it was like growing up there?
I was starting to say I'm from the streets of Miami, Florida. I grew up in Miami, in Liberty City. That's where I learned the game of football. That's what made me who I am today. As far as my personality, my go-get-it attitude. I went to Miami Northwestern, played high school ball there, and from Little League to Miami Northwestern, within that time and playing the game in the streets of Liberty City, it taught me a lot how to play the game. And that's how I got the name Flea, just by making people miss. We played tag, 2-hand tag. In high school, everything was live reps. They coming down, actually making tackles, not like it is today. So you had a chance to really show who you are, and it created toughness. And everybody knew who you were by how you played the game of football. And for me, it gave me a chance to stay steady, focus on sports, and those that was around me made sure I stayed steady. And it gave me an opportunity to go get a Howard University scholarship. Actually, I was actually committed to Colorado. A lot of folks don't realize I was committed to Colorado in 1990.
Oh, wow.
And then things changed. They went in a different direction, probably a week before signing day. And that's how I ended up at Howard University. I wouldn't change it for the world. I think it was the best fit for me from the social life, academic part, and then just being able to play 4 years as a starter and leaving there as the all-time lead receiver in Howard history and just meet some great people. And the most intriguing part about it, I always can go back 10, 15, 20 years and it still feels like home. People still know who you are and they welcome you. That's that HBCU experience that I would never take for granted.
That's an amazing story, Coach. Now let's talk about Miami Northwestern.
Yes.
This is one of the most storied programs in the history of high school football. How much pressure was on you to perform then, and how much do you think that has changed any now, or is it the same standard?
I think it got worse. I think even Little League football in Miami is a lot of pressure. The attendance is so unbelievable on Little League level, and the talent is so great. So by the time you reach the high school level, the expectation gets greater. And back then when I played, a lot of people really believe in Miami Northwestern football. Those that came before you, they set the tone. For me, it was the Brett Perriman. That's why I wore 13 in high school. Before that was Melvin Bratton. I played running back in the Little League. That's why I wore 5. So for somebody that comes from the inner city where I grew up and then play at the University of Miami and make history during that time, change the program around from Brett Perriman, Melvin Bratton, those are two guys within my city limits that I can reach out and touch, that I kind of model my game after. And behind me, my first cousin, Snoop Minnis, who played at Florida State.
Oh, wow.
Western, he wore 13. So it was an honor to be able to go in and understand the culture, understand the tradition, and fulfill those things and fulfill those needs. And then someone behind you that's related to you, like Snoop Minnis, come behind you and do the same things. But now the program is being ran by Teddy Bridgewater, who's doing a phenomenal job. So it's a program that's, we've been down for some years. The expectation never go down. The winning kind of went down, but we're going to get back to where we were during the days where Northwestern was very special.
Best player you ever played against in high school?
Oh, wow. I'll say Corey Bell. Corey Bell. He's actually a DB coach. You know, he's been in several places. I think he's at Mississippi State right now.
Okay.
I was at Miami Northwestern. He was at Miami Edison. And when that game was approaching, it was a very, very looked upon as far as being a great matchup. You know, I got the better of him that day, but it was just my day. It was just my day, man. Corey was a very, very good DB from stopping the run, from covering as well. I mean, that's the guy that made me step my game up. And still today, we're the best friends.
Back then, when you were playing, and back when I was growing up, you know, we're not that far apart. The culture in Miami influenced the entire country. How do you feel like the culture in Miami and South Florida as a whole influenced football in the Southeast?
I'm thinking that a lot. I think it's set the standard for a lot of parts of the country. You know, a lot of great athletes came from that part of the country, and a lot of scouts from different universities, we came there to recruit that part of the country because they felt like they can come and change a lot of things within that program. And I say it set the standard, and now it kind of raised the bar, because if you see, you know, I've been in DC, I've been in Texas, I've been in a lot of places, and, you know, back then football wasn't great in the DMV area, but now based on how you see those schools that go down to the Southeast, the Florida area, I don't know if it's like a barometer they use. They want to play those type schools to see where they are. So I think that we kind of like set the tone, because we play year round. You know, a lot of places, you know, don't play the game of football year round. I know they do in Texas and other parts, but in Florida, man, that's king. You know, when it comes to football, that's king. That's all we know. That's all we do. You know, either you're going to be doing something that's not feasible, you know, in the streets, that's not recommended, or you're going to play the game of football that's going to keep you focused, keep you locked in with your academics, and keep you tied in as far as being a great person, a great citizen in life. So it gave me a chance. It was my way out. I would never had the opportunity to go to college free without football. But back to your question, I think football in the Southeast, a lot of guys came through and paved the way. Mm-hmm. And we kind of came behind them and just want to continue to pass the baton. But, I mean, it's a lot of great athletes in Southeast Florida.
Yeah, for sure. So when you think about, like, Miami as a whole and the state of Florida, there's a sense of pride that goes along with it. Like, so I'm from Georgia and I went to Auburn. And so we always used to be going back and forth with the Florida boys. They had a different swagger and a different bop than we did. No doubt. Talk to me about that Miami and that Florida swagger, where it comes from and what it means to be from what they call the crib.
That's right. That's what we call the crib 305, man. It's just, I think it's just something that we're born with. Like I said, it's something that we see every day in the streets. When the best athletes, the best games were played in the streets, you know, and because a lot of athletes didn't have the grades, you know, some of the best athletes was walking the hallway. And then we played a game in the streets with no regulation. Those were the best games. And that's where you get a chance to show who you are. That's where you get a chance to get your nickname. That's when you get a chance to see how you match up with some of the best talents that's in the street. But it's, you know, and everywhere we go, we try to hang our heads up high and our chests out to say we're from Miami 305 when it comes to what we believe in. You know, if we go off the college from high school, you know, especially if we travel in pack, you know, we're gonna be dominant. We're gonna speak that language. We're gonna have that swag, and it's gonna manifest to the team. But I think it starts just within small circles. Like we say Miami, we can say Florida, but you know, well, from Liberty City, there's Carrier City. So there's a lot of smart parts within the Miami area, within the 305, that we go back and forth. Yeah, we have great pride about Miami, but we also have a great pride of where we're from. You know, that small area like Liberty City, Poker Bean Projects, Carrier City, Opalaka. Yeah. So it's like there's so much pride that's developed within those small communities. And then once we manifest and go out, we try to represent the whole state of Florida.
All right, so Coach, you grew up in Liberty City. I heard a lot about it. It was even a R&B group in the late 90s called Liberty City. I remember that. Like, that what made me check into Liberty City. So then you go to Howard.
Yes.
All right, so you go from, what was it like expecting to go to Colorado? Now, this is Colorado in the glory days.
Yes.
Like, this is when Colorado was up.
Yes.
And from having that pulled away from you and then having to readjust your mindset, how was that transition going to Howard after you thought you were going to Colorado? and what got you through that time and allowed you to be as successful as you were?
I would say, just coming through Miami, through Liberty City, always trying to be the best player I can possibly be. My mom, she did a great job as far as making sure I got to practice, make sure I was at home doing all my studies. So I had my academics in line, and like I said, I learned the game from guys that was in the streets, and that's how I developed my skill set. And so I did a good job as far as academically and physically as an athlete, put myself in position for a scholarship. When Colorado came around, like you said, they had the Eric Bieniemys. They had, there was the early '90s where they was playing for national championship, and it was intriguing. But go from Miami to Colorado, a lot of Florida boys don't want to go that far, but I was up to it. I was up to it, and so I committed. And probably like a week before signing day, back then sometimes they over sign, have over commits, and I was one of the guys that got left out. They made a call and made to my mom and told her, hey, this is what's going on. That we're not gonna be off your son a scholarship. It was disappointment, of course, and I think that set a fire in me. And then the recruiting process, the signing day is in early February, and the next time scouts come out again is in May. So from February to May, I was without a home, without a scholarship. But for some reason, I just stayed on course. And Howard University found out I was still out there. I had UNLV, and then I had Howard University, UNLV offered me a scholarship, and then Howard came. And at that time, I would say I was kind of frustrated with the recruiting process, to be honest. And when Reuben Carter, who was at Howard University, he was a D-line coach who played for University of Miami, played D-line for the Denver Broncos. He did a home visit and sat in my home and sat in the living room. And actually, I went, I came out and introduced myself and we shook hands. And I actually went back to my room. He had a conversation with my mom, probably after about 25, 45 minutes. He departed and my mom came to the room and said, you're going to Howard University. She said, you're going because of the academic part of it.
Right.
And at that time, I really didn't know the history of Howard University. I said, fine, let's go. And from day one, I just showed up and started from the first day. So I was a starter for 4 years at Howard University, playing wide receiver, playing punt return. And then the most intriguing part about it, I was able to graduate in 4 years from the School of Business with a marketing degree.
Hey, man, God good, ain't he?
Yeah, no doubt about it. No doubt about it.
A lot of times, and I say that because a lot of times our path has already been ordered, but we just don't know the order that we're going in.
Yes.
So can you talk to me about in those times where you don't know exactly where you got to lean on your faith and you don't know exactly where you're going?
Right.
What do you do in order to kind of keep yourself grounded so you can stay in pocket and stay in mode, even though it may not seem like the path is clear? And I say this because there are a lot of recruits that have stories like yours, or they may run into different issues and they don't understand why it's going on. And I wanted to kind of just pass some of that knowledge and that wisdom from you to them of how you navigate those type things and why you're still successful, even though sometimes you may not know where your path is leading to.
That's right. I mean, I think a lot of things, and each person, each kid is different. For me, I always look at my why. Everybody why is somewhat similar in certain ways. You ask a person why you want to go to college, why you want to go to the NFL. A lot of them going to say, I want to, buy my mom's house. I want to make X amount of dollars, or I want these material things. So you're going to have a lot of people saying the same thing if that's the situation. But for me, at a young age, and I still use it today, my why was always something that in the past that I felt a certain way, and I never wanted to feel that way again. So for me, my why was, WHY, what happened yesterday. And yesterday could be actually yesterday. Yesterday could be actually 5 years ago. Yesterday could be 10 years ago. Or yesterday could be an hour ago. For me, what happened yesterday when I was 18, going to Howard, I had my first child, my firstborn. So that drove me to not go to parties, to tough it out, to go to class every day, and make it to the NFL. So I knew what I had to do in order to get there. So what happened? So there's a lot of things you got to look at. What happened to you yesterday that made you feel some type of way that's going to drive you. In that situation, that's a positive thing. It's my firstborn, and I wanted to provide for her. But like, if you find out what happened to you yesterday when you didn't fulfill an obligation and it didn't feel good, it was something inside you that you never want to feel that feeling again. So you're gonna do everything to avoid that. So you got to find out what's your why, what happened to you that makes you trigger. And I think everybody got stories that they can relate to and go back to help them motivate themselves. And then that's going to help you get to the NFL. That's going to help you buy your mom that house. When you say, okay, why you want to go to the NFL? Because I want to buy my mom a house. But why? That why should be what happened yesterday. Yesterday, my mom, was working 2 jobs, to pay the bills. So and I don't want to feel that again. So that's my why. So we got to stop looking ahead as far as what we're trying to accomplish, but look back to see what's your true why. Why are you doing what you're doing? What make you feel that way? That's going to drive you when you go through that adversity.
Man, that's deep. So
Yes,
you
sir.
get to Howard.
Yeah,
You come from Miami. You in Chocolate City.
yeah,
HBCU experience.
no
Man,
doubt.
what was it like seeing so much culture in one place at a place of higher education?
It's different. Even coming from Miami, where and my all from Liberty City Elementary to my middle school to my high school was all predominantly African American. So I thought it would be something that I'm accustomed to, but when you go to a Howard University and you see all the different dynamics, people come from different places, from Philly, from New York. I mean, it just feel and look different. I mean, there's a lot of great young African Americans in that's doing well. And when you see that in one area, man, it feels good. Not only just in the Howard area, when you go to the local areas like the PG County, it's just so many Black Americans that's doing well. It was thriving back then. Howard right now in DC is different. It's not a bad thing. It's more gentrified now. It's just a little bit different feel. But back then it was Chocolate City. It was definitely wherever you look. Man, it was for me for those 4 years, man. That was the most intriguing part of my life to be a part of that, to see that where you can go to class, and it's an overflow of people in between classes, just on campus, just having a good time, just good vibes. And that was a great part of my life, a good, happy part of my life, just being able to feel that for 4 years. It did a great, it did wonders for me. For once I left that place, it really opened my eyes to a lot of things, because a lot of things I didn't see growing up. I was kind of sheltered, but when I saw that and you're on your own, you're able to maneuver and navigate through that type of environment, it kind of helps you because you're going to have some adversity, not just at Howard. A lot of BCU is going to have some adversities. And when you're there on your own, you got to figure out how to get through it. And so Howard University changed my life, and I always give thanks to that place to making me the person that I am.
You go from Howard to the NFL.
Yeah.
All right. NFL to coaching.
Yeah.
Your journey brings you back to Howard.
Yes.
What was that like, man?
It was great, man. Being at Howard, like I said, I always want to go to the NFL. Like I said, once again, I hit a brick wall. Like leaving high school, going to college, I had a scholarship that got reneged on, and playing at Howard put myself in once again a position to go to the NFL, get drafted. Doing my trials. If you go back, they had the NFL, then they had the CFL that was within the states. And we had a team called the Baltimore Stallions. That's not too far from DC. And I ran a great time. I had great workouts. I had a time logged in at 4:38. So I was like just kind of shut it down. And if you go back, the Rocket, where him and Ishmael had a great contract with the CFL. Baltimore Stallions, they wanted me to come out, move around, and try out. I was very hesitant, I'll be honest. But I went out there and just to watch my teammates from Howard work out. And one of the administrators, one of the staff members came over from the Baltimore team, just asked me, do you mind just, running a 40 or just running some routes? And that competitive juice in me, I just went out and did those things, man. And we got the one-on-ones. CFL football, you get a running start. As I approach the line, now I run a corner route. And then as I'm coming out my break and coming down from catching the ball, I step on the defender's foot and break my ankle. And this is like right before the draft, So trying to get rehab for the draft, it wasn't really going my way. And then luckily, they knew what Giants called, and they knew I wasn't able to fully, work out. And they brought me up in New York. I ran around for a little bit. They liked what they saw for the most part, understand my situation, and they signed me as a free agent. So
okay.
that helped me out, as far as going and doing that. And like I said, going from Howard, going to New York, playing with the Giants, going overseas, playing at Frankfurt, and then end up in the CFL with Montreal. That was my professional career, for 4 years.
Okay.
And I never thought about coaching, and I hope a lot of, people out there that's in coaching, like I got lucky, there's the GA route. There's a lot of ways, coming from high school. Sometimes you get lucky. But I was in Miami, never thought about coaching. I was actually a manager at Home Depot up in Boca Raton, and
Okay.
I was in the retail business. I was trying to feed my family. And it wasn't me, but I knew that's what I had to do at that time. And I was at an ATM in Opelika, Florida, and I withdrew some cash, and I walked back to my vehicle, and approaching me was my former defensive coordinator when I played at Howard. He didn't coach me, but he was the defensive coordinator at Howard named Ray Petty. And I haven't seen him since I left Howard, so it's probably like maybe 10 years. And this in 2000. I left Howard in 1993, 94. So, we talking, and he said, hey, right now I'm about to be the head coach of Howard University. Would you mind coming coaching the receivers? Like I said, at that time I'm trying to find myself, I never thought about coaching, but I love the game. I didn't want to leave my kids and my family in Miami. So it was a lot of decisions I had to make. So we uprooted, went to Washington, D.C., and that's how I got into coaching. I never coached high school football, never thought about it. But once I got to Howard University and coached there with him in 2002, I mean, it just, at that time, it opened my eyes. It opened my eyes, and I fell in love with it.
All right, so Coach.
Yes.
You become a rising star in the industry, and you actually get to go become the head coach at your alma mater. What was that like?
Man, that was special. That was special. Like I said, once I got into coaching, I knew I wanted to be a head coach at that time. So I kind of moved around to learn from different head coaches. I was with Coach Ray Petty from 2002, 2004. And then Steve Wilson, who actually coached me at Howard, he was the head coach. I learned a whole lot from Coach Steve Wilson, who had a phenomenal job, a phenomenal career at Howard University, national championship twice in 93 and 96. So, he was becoming a head coach at Texas Southern in Houston. So I migrated from D.C. to Houston from 2004, 2006. And it's a great story because, like, for me, man, I mean, God is so great, like, because everything happened early for me. A lot of men that was in my life at Howard University was in my life in my early coaching career. Like I said, Coach Ray Petty, who was a defensive coordinator at Howard University, gave me my first job at Howard University as a receiver coach. Steve Wilson, my second job at Texas Southern, was my head coach at Howard University. And I went with him coaching receivers at Texas Southern for 2 years, from 2004 to 2006. My next job, now remember I told you that home visit from Howard, the head coach at FAMU was Reuben Carter, the guy that sat in my living room, and convinced my mom to sing with Howard. So I went with him for 2 years. So at that time, now all three of those guys, I mean, for me to be with those three guys to help me out while I was a young adolescent at Howard University was great for me. So by the time I got to my year 6 in coaching, I knew I wanted to be a head coach. And I tried to be a head coach at Howard at that time, but, they felt I wasn't ready. They wanted me to be an OC, offensive coordinator first, and they chose someone else. So then that very next year, I became offensive coordinator at Bowie State, at a Division II school, and we did well. So we was in the CIAA championship both years while I was there, and I was close enough. Bowie State is probably like maybe 30 minutes or 25 minutes from Howard University. So I was close enough to stay relevant and show what I can do. So when the job came open again, I applied, and I was blessed to get it. And I mean, the love that I have for Howard University, love I have for HBCU. And I understand I've never been a head coach before. And to be honest, I had to learn, on the run. But it's just the passion and love that I had for the university that drove me to do a great job, to make sure that, that we accumulate some wins, that we continue to have a culture that was built on a tradition that Howard University was built on. And so that for me, that meant a lot for me during that time. And it kind of like put me in a mind frame to continue. I probably would have stayed at Howard forever. To be honest, that's the way I felt. But I was there for 6 years, and on both sides we just decided to go in a different direction. And then I was blessed to work with Lane Kiffin right after that at FAU, who I learned so much from. Structure, the structure part of football as far as scheduling. How you go about the day-to-day process. I learned so much from Lane Kiffin. I got to get a lot of credit for, because once I left there, everything that we did when I left there and went to Alabama State and Jackson State and here Colorado, I learned from Lane Kiffin, who was with Nick Saban during that time. Remember, he went to Nick Saban for like a year or two to revamp himself. So everything we saw at FAU, Nick Saban was doing at Alabama. So I always kept my document, I always took notes and say, when I get my opportunity, this is how I'm going to run my program. And I was able to do that with Don Hill-Illy, who brought me to Alabama State, and a lot of things that we did when it came to practice schedules, when it came to meeting times, when it came to lifting weights, not just dealing with the game of football, but things that were surrounding the game. That's what we kind of implement. And that's what I believe in today.
All right. So everybody wants to know, how did you end up linking up with Coach Deion Sanders?
Man, just God, I'm sitting there at Alabama State, I'm satisfied. I'm with a good friend of mine who's the head coach, and, but through a mutual friend, and I never met Deion before, never had conversation with Deion. And he calls me and say, hey, I need you to talk to Deion for a few. He's thinking about being a head coach. We knew that you been a head coach before. And I think the reason they called me, I didn't know at the time, because I've been a head coach before, but I was a head coach at the HBCU. And I didn't know that Deion was, going that route. So I figured out that he was, getting close to be a head coach at the HBCU. And we have conversation. We talk about all the things I just mentioned as far as structure, organization, and a lot of my experiences, a lot of things that I struggle with, or we just had conversation. And at that time, when you ever get a chance to meet Deion Sanders, the first encounter, he's not going to talk. He's going to listen. He's going to ask you what's up, and that's your time to shoot your spiel. If you come up short, he'll never come back to you. So that tells me at that time I did a good job, because by the time we had that third conversation, we kind of bonded. And once we realized that we both from Florida, he's from Fort Myers or from Miami, it bonded even more. And he just told me, hey, man, when I become a head coach, I want you to come be my assistant head coach. So it's just being just in life, in this game of football life, just networking, just knowing the right people. And then when you get before those people, making sure that you present yourself in the right way.
You go to Jackson State.
Yep.
You absolutely turn that program around. And then you get the opportunity to go with Coach Prime to Colorado.
Yes.
When did you know that you were going to Colorado?
I'll be honest, what we did at Jackson State and seeing how Coach Prime came in, who never been a head coach before, I tell you, when Coach Prime, he's a businessman, he has a CEO mind. So everything he did, he ran the program that way. So understand that first year, he was really getting an understanding the field of a game, of managing the game. But I would say about halfway through that first year, he was just phenomenal. The way he worked the sideline, the way he ran the program, I just watched him like, man, I was so amazed. And so I always wanted to stay in contact and tact with him, because I know he's going to do some great things. And by the time we came to year 2, we kind of felt like, something special is going to happen. And it don't happen to us a lot, where I didn't know it was going to be to that magnitude, because at the end of the day, he's still a black man, and we don't get a whole lot of opportunities.
Right.
But we have a great athletic director, Rick George, that saw something that was special, and he saw a vision, and he never gave up as far as trying to secure Deion Sanders. And Deion Sanders is a type like, he's very private. He don't really speak on his business. So as a staff, we did not know what was going to happen. So when it came time, and when we played that lead up to that Celebration Bowl, that second year, we kind of knew what was going on, and we knew that everyone couldn't go. But I just felt good, being assistant head coach and being loyal. You got to go back to when, when he was going through his surgery, he's going through, his foot situation. I was a guy that was there with him, and when I took over the program, I never like try to make it my own. I never try to make it about me. I just kept the vision that he had. I kept the plan, and I just always kept him relevant and did everything that I know he would do if he was, he was still there, as far as just being mentally involved. But if he was physically there, I want to make sure that everything from practice meetings, how we do things, the way I conduct interviews, I want to do it his way. And I think that loyalty again, kind of made me his guy. And so I knew wherever he was going, he always told me that I was going with him. And then back to your question, it was a situation because I want to be a head coach again. I think Jackson State is a special place. I love Jackson State, just from the fan base and just how they love the game of football. That's what I was looking for. Someone that, with an athletic director, AD Robinson. I mean, he's a great person that understands the game. He's a great person to understand operation. He don't get in your way, and we're great friends. So, at that time I thought about pursuing the head coach of Jackson State, but, talking to Coach Prime, it's like, I think I just felt like it was better for me to move on, to take advantage of the opportunity, because we don't get the opportunity, to be honest, too often. And I had to just go ahead and take the opportunity and just see where it takes me from there.
Year one in Colorado, everybody's in y'all face. I mean, it didn't matter if it was a Colorado hat purchased on the corner. It was a news story. Yes. White Colorado hat purchased. Like, it didn't matter. Okay. All of that hype, you go in, first game of the season, you guys ball out.
Yes.
Okay. What was that like, that first game? Because you had all the media, all of the detractors, everybody, the fans going crazy. Everything's going on. What was it like in that moment when you walked off the field and said, okay, we can do this?
We felt going into that game that we can get it done, and not to downplay TCU. We knew there was a phenomenal team. But once again, you got to understand Deion Sanders. He does a great job as far as installing that belief in you. Like, you don't doubt it. It's no doubt, because the way that he go about his everyday life, the things he went through, he never lost faith during that process. So whenever he coming for a team, the guy shows so much faith that you have to buy into it. You have no doubt. But I would say going into that game, we felt like we can win. During that game, we felt good, making plays on both sides of the football. It was just the right timing for us. We hit at the right time. Going from off season, flipping that team before we got there, a whole lot of new players. We had, you're talking about from the summer, and then going through August with a whole different team, trying to get prepared for a team that had just played at a national championship against Georgia. And that was tough. But it's like we target that game so well. I think the coordinators did a great job as far as game planning for that team. And the way that Coach Sanders had it just mapped out leading up to the game, it just had us so prepared when it comes to practice, getting rest, not just over exerting ourselves throughout camp, making sure that he was able to keep an eye on the guys, see how they was moving, and change up practice within practice. Just from going from full gear to going in just helmets, just make sure the guy was fresh. And he did a good job as far as preparing us for that game. And from there, we felt like it was going to be a great year. We beat TCU. We just knew, okay, this is our year. We're going to go ahead and go and just run the tables. And I just think we just lost momentum. When we really look back at it, we really didn't have the talent to run the tables. I think it caught up with us as far as the talent level that we had. And then once we had injuries and had to fall back on the backups, it just caught up with us. And we're just trying to make sure that, we put together a year that we can build on. Every game, if you look at every game, we wasn't too far off. We just had to make changes to give us the opportunity to win those games when you're supposed to win those games.
On a personal level, Coach, if you had one thing that you could have changed about your approach from last year that you want to take into this year, that you think that I have your room, not only your room, but specifically your room, but then the offense as a whole and how your room affects the offense, what's something that you would instill in your room that you didn't do last year or something that you changed?
The way I run my room is very competitive. I treat my guys as young men. Don't baby them. I set the standard, set the expectation, and from the beginning, I tell you we're gonna be the toughest group on this team. So I make them compete not only against the linebackers, but everyone on the team to make sure that you're the best group. Not just the one best person, the best group when it comes to being on time for meetings. Make sure you're going to see your tutor, your academic person. Make sure you're doing all those things. Weight room. Make sure you're being respectful in the training room. Staying off the list. That's where I start as far as setting expectation. And the only thing that I'm going to do differently, and I tried, and everybody can't do it within your room. I want that leader that can not only lead that room, but lead a team, like a Shador Sanders. We didn't have that guy in the running back room. I think that when you got Shador Sanders at quarterback and do it, you got somebody that's right next to him that's in the running back room that can command that respect. And the guys, when they hear his voice, they respond within that huddle, within that sideline. It's going to help the offense out tremendously because offense, O-line, they have a different mindset. They're in attack mode, they're in the grind mode. So you need somebody that's like a running back, like a quarterback that's savvy enough to stay in that grind mode, attack mode, but still savvy enough to be calm and collective and poised and lead guys in the right direction on and off the field. And that's what I'm trying to build in that room, just a leader. Like Coach Bryant's favorite thing, every leader is not a dog, every dog is not a leader. We don't do captains, so that's what we're trying to find, dogs and leaders,
Right.
And that's my goal, is at least to find, I got some dogs. I believe I got some dogs. I got to find a leader.
Okay. I like that, Coach. So this year, I mean, it's the year. This is like the money year. This is the year you got your introduction.
Mm-hmm.
And now for whatever reason, it seems like if you say something about Colorado, it's like a target.
Mm-hmm.
And it could be a target for good. It's like a target on your front and a target on your back. Colorado comes up, the fans, they go crazy. They on the front target. But then, so on the flip side, you got guys just shooting at you every time they get a shot.
Every time.
What's it like dealing with that type of pressure? And do you want to win? I know you want to win for that team, but do you ever get the feeling like, man, I can't wait to shut some of these people up?
Well, the way we look at it, we look at all publicity is good publicity. Whether you're talking good about us, if you're talking bad about us, you're talking about us. And when I got to Colorado last year, there's a lot of people that was coming to the game that probably didn't believe we was going to win. I didn't want to see us win. And the way I always approach it, and I always tell my guys and the rest of the team, I tell them we are the Floyd Mayweather of football. Because Floyd Mayweather, you got so many people watching, they're gonna pay their money. They don't want to see, or they want to be there to see if he lose or when he lose. So I mean, to me, it's a good thing. So that's how we approach it. We're gonna approach the game. The way we look at it, you're gonna watch the game or you're gonna come to the game, whether you support us or not. But you're gonna bring those proceeds, and we're gonna, and then you're gonna bring that attention to our program. So that's how we look at it. We got something that's rooting for us. And we feel like it's the majority is really rooting for us. That's just life. You gotta have some people that's just don't understand it. Some people just don't like to see the good that goes on. And we just try and do a lot of good things, not just for that area, but amongst the country, man. Because like I said, this is an opportunity that we don't get. And if you look at the makeup of our staff, he didn't shy away as far as hiring, a lot of people that came from Jackson State. A lot of guys that coached with him in youth league football. A lot of guys that came from high school ranks that's now they're not coaching, but they in personnel. So he, even outside of that, we have student trainers that was at Jackson State that he brought there to there. So he was able to touch so many areas in the game of football to give opportunities. And that's all we're trying to do right now is create opportunities for these young men that come to the program. Because you're going to get the opportunity just through social media, just through the attention that you're getting. That's why a lot of people go to the high school they go to in their local area because they're getting the foot traffic from from the college scouts. one school like a Miami Northwestern, there's one school in Alabama high school that the college scouts always going to go to.
Right. Right.
So, and that's what we're trying to build here, where the NFL scout's going to see you. If it's not in the NFL, it's some type of professional corporation, but you get a chance to develop who you are. You get a chance to showcase who you are to the entire country. And that what Coach Prime is trying to he's just trying to set a platform that everyone can benefit and build on.
There was a lot said about Shedeur Sanders not speaking to all the quarterbacks, or not being a leader, or not being this type of guy. I'm hearing these rumors. Yeah. What kind of truth is it to those rumors? And from your experience, describe the leadership of Shedeur Sanders.
It's just rumors. I mean, Shedeur does a great job as far as getting to know everybody outside the quarterback room, on the defense side of the ball. I mean, even coaches, folks that's within the building. When you get a chance to sit down and talk to a Shedeur Sanders, you'll realize he's a down-to-earth guy. He's very, very humble. He walks around quiet. And part of a lot of things he do, it's just like his father. They go into character mode, but that's not who they are. That's not who defines them. And I know, watching him, in passing, he speaks to me every day. He comes joking. I mean, he treats everyone the same, but he holds you with a certain standard and accountability. If you're not doing your job, if you're not bringing any value, he's going to hold you accountable. If you're on the field, if you run a wrong route as a receiver, he's going to send you off the field. If you're a running back, if you blow a protection, he's going to send you off the field. Same thing with O-line. Don't matter who you are, he holds people accountable, but at the same time, he holds himself accountable. I never thought that he would so quickly, from Jackson State to Colorado, be the guy that he is. And he proved me wrong, just from his arm strength, just from his mindset, just his toughness. I knew it would happen, but I didn't think it would happen that quickly. But just the accountability that he has, just working outside of the normal hours that we require. You see that, he just don't speak it. He lives it. And he wants it badly. So, he don't only want to win for himself. He wants everyone around him to be winners.
No, that's great. And usually when you hear about great leaders, it's not just about how they impact on the field, but wanting people to win goes deeper than the field. It goes off the field. And what time are you getting to your meetings? Like you said, are you linking up with your tutor? Right. Are you speaking to your coach? Sometimes it's hard to get these guys on the phone, right? They so busy. And I've seen that. I want to hear it from Coach Flea, the man himself.
Yep.
What is Colorado's recruiting strategy?
Man, we go, we kind of changed. I'll be honest. Before, when we made the flip, we was going to get guys that, because of the school where they coming from the Alabama to Florida State, chasing those 4 and 5 stars. And we made some mistakes. A lot of guys that we got on campus, we realized they weren't the guys that we needed. And in one meeting, Coach Prime, he was like, all right, stop chasing the 4 and 5 stars. Find the guys that love the game. Find the guys that has aspirations for us going to the next level. Find those guys and let's coach them up. So we kind of like change a whole lot of things how we recruit. Like for me, you got to recruit me also. A lot of kids, we got a lot of divas. They want you to call them. I'm gonna call you. I need to know that you're gonna call me every now and then and recruit me and show interest. And I'll make an example. So Michael Welch, the running back, he did a great job with that. He was like a 3-star, probably could have been a 4-star. But when I sat down with him at his high school and looked that young man in his eyes and heard his story, I had to take him. Because I knew that he was going to come in and do some phenomenal things. He's not worried about the parties. He's not worrying about the drinking and smoking. He's trying to be successful because his past, because his story, and the way that he carried himself as a young man, it was impressive, very impressive. And he would call me, I would call him. So he was recruiting me while I was recruiting him. And that told me that, this is going to be the right guy. And it shows today, he's doing the same thing on campus, because you can call a kid, coaches call kids, 7 days a week or whatever, and then they get you on campus and that communication is different, So,
right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I don't like, I'm old school. I want to know that you want to get a degree. I want to know that you're going to be a great teammate and you're going to compete your butt off. That's how I look at it. And Coach Prime, he wants, like I said, leaders and dogs. So he wants you to make sure that if that's the guy you want, the guy you're going to stand on the table for, when he get there, you better make sure that's the guy that's going to help us win ball games, or you're going to have problems with Coach Prime.
So I heard you say something. You said when you went to his school.
Yes.
So the rumor is that no Colorado coaches visit high schools.
No, that's not true. That's not true. That's not true at all. Right. Now I would say that right now we're trying to figure out a way to get Deion into the high school. Deion is it's different because Deion, the way we talk about it all the time, and it bothers him because he wants to be able to get it done, but he don't want to go to one high school if he go to Georgia or two high school, and then the other schools feel left out. You know what I'm saying? Right. So he's trying to figure out a way to get that done where it doesn't be a negative spin on what he's trying to get accomplished. So, we're not making any excuses. He's going to make that happen. We know it needs to be done. But I tell you one thing that's impressed me when a high school kid come or any prospect come to Colorado, I never seen a head coach give them that much time as far as like genuine time, as far as parents, that student athlete, when they sit before Coach Prime and we sit there as a staff, he don't only just talk about football recruiting, because in his mind, the reason you sitting before me, my staff already checked all the boxes. You're the right guy. I just want to know about you. I just want to know about your life. I want to know about who pushes you, who make the decision in your life. I want to know about mom and dad. I want to know about sister. He's speaking, but he's not rushing through it. Sometimes he's there for 45 minutes, and we trying to tell him, Coach, we got to stay on time. He's like, no. When he feels it, his spirit, he's just going to stay in that moment. He's going to stay in that moment. And that's one thing that he does well that I haven't seen a lot of head coaches do as far as giving time to those prospective student athletes and their family, as far as just sit there with a Coach Prime, a Hall of Fame, and just really give your spiel about life. And he give you some inspirational or some advice or some things that he's been through or some things he feel like that you could change in your life.
Coach.
Yep.
I'm a five-star recruit.
Yep.
That works hard. And I want to come to Colorado, but I got this other school, and I need to talk to Coach Flea.
Mm-hmm.
I'm about to go commit in 30 seconds. Coach Flea, sell me on Colorado in 30 seconds.
I tell you what, you come to Colorado, you're going to be in a place where you're going to be known, seen across the country. You're going to be a part of the program that we believe in. We have our core values: smart, fast, tough, discipline. We're going to make sure that you're a modern citizen off the field. We're going to make sure that you understand what you need to be as a football player to go to the next level. We have networking, we have connections where you come to Colorado. I'm not saying that other schools don't have that connection, but we have a culture, we have a winning culture that bring young men together as a team, as a family. We believe in family first, and then we're going to win football games because of the connection and the chemistry that we have amongst each other. But if you come to Colorado, you're going to be in a place where it's a beautiful city. The fan base is great. The academic part is where it needs to be. But we're the most polarized program in the country. You're going to get coached up by the best staff in the country. We put our staff together. We have over 120 years of NFL experience. So when you come to us, we're not only going to tell you where you're going or why you're going. We're going to tell you where you're going, why you're going, because we've been there before.
Man, I'm coming, Coach. I'm on the way.
Love it.
Hey, Coach, man, before we get out of here, tell me about one thing Deion Sanders has told you that has made a major impact in your life.
Ooh. Man, he told me, this guy told me and taught me so much. Coach Prime and I, we kind of communicate without talking. I kind of watch him and how he move and how he go about life. So it's like a lot of things, you guys won't believe how humble, how quiet he is. You don't really talk much unless them lights come on. But only thing, it's like, only thing I learned from him is certain thing he might not say to me, but to the staff, like, you just got to be ready for the moment. It's like a lot of people is not ready or built for what we are doing. You got to be ready for it, even as a football player on a team, because of the social media, a lot of things that come your way. It was a positive, negative. You got to be able to handle those things. So, I mean, what I learned from him is for how to manage life, man, how to, deal with the things, the situation at work. But when you go home to your families, when you go home to your free time, how you just release your mind. This is the best I felt. I coached for like 22 years now. And I say, as far as my peace of mind, enjoy going to work, when I leave work and I feel good, I feel fresh, and I can't wait to get back to work. It's the best I've felt in 22 years because of the man that I work for. And like I said, it's not what he's saying. It's about how he maneuver. And when you watching him, it has an effect on you as a person, as a coach. And a lot of people outside of just the coaches, the trainers, everyone see it and they say the same thing. It's like he's just so inspirational, how he lived life. A lot of things he say, he gonna say some things that's off the wall, but it's a purpose, But just a lot of things that he do in life. When he do come to you and talk to you, he gonna hit you real quick with some quotes, with some jokes. You just never know. But he's just a down to earth person. So the best thing I can say is just part of being yourself, and just not worrying. Just gotta being able to shut down all the outside chatter, the noise, and still be who you are. He's been able to do that for years. He has a lot of critics, trying to change his whole mindset. His faith, his religion. When we pray, we get a lot of negativity within the area, which I understand. Everybody got a different religion, but he's not going to change who he is. He's going to stay true to his upbringing. How he lived life, and that's one thing you got to admire about him. A lot of people can change, based on someone else's opinion, how they feel about him. Not Coach Prime.
Talk a little bit about Colorado's Porter Hall and what you guys brought in.
I would say for us, it's fitting. We don't like to compare ourselves to all of the schools and see what they're bringing in, because you got to understand that the transfer portal, to me, it's a risk. You talking about making a decision where, it opens up, let's say April 16th and closes April 30th. Within 2 weeks, you just, trying to find kids that you think that can come and change your program compared to a high school kid back how it used to be, where his junior year, where you build that relationship, you place that offer, they come to your camp, you go to their house, you visit those that's around that support him, you go to his high school, you watch his high school football games. You have at least a couple of months to make that decision. That transfer portal, by the time they made a decision, you got about maybe a week or two to decide what you want to do, because you got some bona fide players and starters, but they chasing the money. And that deal is already done, so you don't have a shot there. Then you got the other level where a kid is not getting enough reps. If he's complaining about reps where he's at, he's going to complain about reps. The next play he go to, and then you got that third level where a guy just not getting no shot at all, and he's just going to roll the dice and just try to see where he goes. So I mean, those type players that you're getting out of transfer portal. Just got to try to find the best one, and then once you get them within your team, you got to see how you make them fit your culture. So for us, I think we got some good guys, especially O-line. I like our offensive linemen. I like their mindset. We got some great additions to the wide receiver position. We'll see how that pans out once we really go through camp. Right now, I had one good back, and hey, the name of the game, he ended up at Ole Miss. But we got another guy that's going to come through the front door, probably another day or two, that's going to make the room back to where it needs to be. And I think defensively, our job, I go on defense to try to have the best secondary. You're talking about you got Deion Sanders, you got Kevin Methods, and then you got Rob Livingston, who's a DC, who's a secondary guy. So between those three guys, they're always looking for the best guys that can cover, and we're going to bring that pressure.
Man, Coach, it's been a pleasure, an honor. Where can everybody find you on social media?
On Instagram, you go at Coach Flea Buffs, Buffs, and then on Twitter at Coach Flea. Like I said, most of my Instagram or social media is predicated to the game of football and to my job. Anything personal, I stay away from. But if you got guys that you feel can fit our program, if you're trying to reach me, you're trying to somehow come to a practice or get close to the staff, reach out to me. I try my best as far as responding to you.
Man, Coach Flea, man, it's been a pleasure. We gotta do this again, maybe at the end of the summer.
Let me know when, man. Like I said, I love, this is a great platform, and any chance we can get it to showcase what we do on a positive light, man, I love doing it.
Man, much love, Coach, for sure. Do it for the culture, man.
Absolutely.